YouTube. This is Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard. Yes, I have continued to jump further into the deeper end of reality. You may think I've lost my mind. I have certainly wondered that myself. Yesterday, I did in fact summon light beings from Jupiter. Beamed into my bedroom and did some very powerful energy work, and I would even say energy surgery on me. So let's just talk about Jupiter for a second. Why light beings from Jupiter? Jupiter is a planet that it's a gas giant. There's no way physical beings can live on that planet. That's my understanding as well. What has been happening for me since I started exploring CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind Protocol, you can look it up, CE5. Since I've been doing that, human-initiated contact with extraterrestrial transdimensional beings, I have had a tremendous crisis of reality. My reality has completely expanded. My understanding about myself, the way the universe works, my relationship to the universe, human beings, planet Earth, consciousness, it has all been completely blown to smithereens. Forgive me, there's somebody doing yard work, forgive the noise. And so much so that after my third CE5 attempt, I was extremely successful. A very powerful being beamed into my home and took over my radio and basically made it clear to me that I was entering into a severe shamanic initiation event. So if you know anything about shamanic initiation, a shaman is not somebody who chooses to be a shaman is chosen. And what happens when a shaman is chosen by the spirits is that they go through a shamanic death and rebirth. And this is a very real thing. It can be actual death. Somebody can die, have go and have a near-death experience, come back in their body, and when they come back in their body, they have a hard time putting reality together, but when they do, they end up having powers they didn't have, usually shamanic, psychic, healing powers that they didn't have before. It can be the person will go insane. And then when they come back to sanity, they will again have a different understanding of reality with shamanic abilities, psychic abilities. So it can be any one of those things, but it's usually a very traumatic experience, and it's not something that the individual consciously seeks or enjoys. And so I've been going through this because of let's just be clear, I did this. I chose to start investigating this because I heard this thing called, a human-initiated contact with extraterrestrial dimensional beings. What I had to find out if it was true. I did find out that it was true, and it broke my brain. So much so that for the past probably 3 weeks, I have been undergoing very physical trauma. The whole right side of my shoulder completely locked up. My deltoid has lost it for a while. I had no strength. I couldn't even lift my arm. I wouldn't have been able to lift this mouse and hold it like this. My deltoid didn't have the ability to. Just the nerves weren't communicating with the muscle, which frightened me. I thought maybe I had an aneurysm or stroke or something like that. I was very worried. So I've been in this, do I continue with this or don't I? But the fact is I can't unknow what I know. The truth is we live in a universe that is populated by an infinite number of highly developed civilizations that are millions of years ahead of humans, and their core interaction with the universe is not like ours, scientific, what we can see, feel, and touch. Their interaction with the universe is based solely on spiritual consciousness. And whatever technology they have interfaces with their psychic abilities. This is, everything that we've been watching in fantasy movies and sci-fi movies is whatever you can imagine, it's beyond that. So I've been in a very difficult place. I've continued to work with these light beings. It's continued to be very challenging for me, and I tried very recently to just say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to push it out of my mind. And then the left side of my body started having the same symptoms. And I said, okay, this is bad. So I decided to go the other direction. The way out was through. So I decided that I was going to interact with the planet Jupiter, because I've come to find out through this experience that the planet Earth definitely has a consciousness. It is a feminine consciousness. She is our mother. And I've interacted with that, and I've come to realize that past interactions with her weren't just my fantasies. She really has been communicating with me my whole life. And so I decided I needed help. Jupiter is a very powerful planet for me, and is a planet that helps create boundaries. And what I need right now is mental, psychological boundaries so that I can tolerate this new understanding of reality that has exploded into my life. So I sought to communicate directly with Jupiter. So I went into a shamanic state. The truth is, I went into a very light meditative state. Here's the one thing that's very interesting about this. You don't have to have a lucid dream vision experience for this to be true. And I was under the impression that if I was to have a real spiritual experience, it would have to be completely, totally out of body, 3D, crystal clear, like a movie. You see, you hear, you understand everything. And the truth is that that's not necessary at all for me. It's probably not necessary for you either. The only thing that I had to do is simply go into a light meditative state and have the intention to go to Jupiter. That's all I did. Of course, in my mind, I'm trying to imagine what Jupiter looks like. In fact, I looked at some photographs of Jupiter beforehand so I would have a clear picture of what I wanted to envision. I'm sure that's helpful. And I went and just lied down and put myself into a calm meditative state, and I simply imagined myself flying through my solar system and really just kind of instantaneously appearing in front of the planet Jupiter. And when I did, I expressed to Jupiter, I need help. I'm having a psychological mental break. My physical body is somaticizing it so much so that I'm barely able to lift my arm. My neck and my shoulder is in pain. I'm really struggling with trying to make sense of all of this new understanding about the world. I imagine myself going into Jupiter and experiencing his power. I imagined myself finding Jupiter within me, because we are the universe, and having it expand out. I did all kinds of exercises with myself and Jupiter. And while I did that, I came to realize that there were other beings around Jupiter. Let me just give you an idea, just so you know how powerful Jupiter is. Jupiter is the first planet that manifested in our solar system. Jupiter is the largest planet. The only planet larger is the Sun in our solar system. Jupiter is by far the most powerful planet in our solar system, second only to the Sun. The magnetosphere, the magnetic aura of Jupiter, if you will, you could contain 10 suns within the size of Jupiter's magnetic field. Jupiter's magnetic field is so large that Saturn is almost within Jupiter's magnetic field. Jupiter's magnetic field basically takes you all the way to Saturn. That's how enormous it is. The lightning strikes that happen within Jupiter's atmosphere is something like, 1,000 times stronger than anything that happens here on Earth. It's an incredibly powerful planet. So Jupiter is also associated if you deal with the lightning god. So Jupiter retrograde is the lightning god in Vedic astrology. Jupiter direct is the priest. But when Jupiter goes indirect, when it goes retrograde, it becomes the lightning god. And so this lightning god destroys evil and helps empower the individual to have their own boundaries. This is something that I was desperately lacking. My psychological and spiritual boundaries were shattered, and it was creating a tremendous toll on my mind, my emotions, and my body. So while I became aware, as I imagined myself, floating around Jupiter and looking at all, the beauty of it, I became aware that there were other beings there. I got the feeling that I wasn't the only person who travels to Jupiter to get power, wisdom, and understanding. I got the feeling that there were beings that park themselves there around Jupiter, and they meditate and learn from Jupiter for who knows how long, hundreds, thousands of years. That Jupiter is an intergalactic destination for beings of light, and they have the same reverence for Jupiter as I was trying to experience. And so I did what I've learned how to do in CE5, and I simply threw out the intention, hey, are there any interdimensional light beings who would like to interact with me? Is there anybody else here? And sure enough, these guys showed up. And I got the feeling, they were very strong, they were very respectful, they were very polite, but very deep, powerful beings, and they did kind of that. They just showed up and went. And I said, would you like to come back to Earth with me? And I told them what I wanted. I'm here with Jupiter because I'm trying to heal myself. I need power. I need boundaries. I think I might even need surgery. I think I might have broken my brain. Can you come and help me? I'm seeking help. And, I didn't get a yes or a no, or I just said, since I've connected with them, they've made themselves known, that pretty much is the signal that they're ready to come with you. So I did my best to try and navigate back to Earth, which is kind of a waste of time because I don't have that great of an imagination. And I just kind of said, well, I'm in Earth, you guys. I'm in Florida. Here I am lying in my bed. Come and join me. And I don't know how long it took. It didn't take very long, a few minutes maximum. And sure enough, I could feel physically in my body, I could feel that they had entered the room. My ears start to ring. I feel an electrical charge in the air. It wasn't as intense as some others. Some others, when they've showed up, it's been like very high vibrational, very electric. Another time it was very powerful and deep, and my heart center was really impacted as they beamed in. And this one wasn't. It was it was powerful, but it was deep. And then they began working on my body. So they began putting energy in my body. And what I do because part of my brain goes, holy crap, there are interdimensional beings physically in my room. There's a part of my brain that does that every time. So what I do to keep myself in it is I focus on the positive aspects of it, which is I imagined a direct portal to Jupiter. I imagined the power of Jupiter. I kept chanting one of the lightning Jupiter mantras, which is the Thunar mantra that I've taught many people, a version of that. And while I was doing that, trying to commune with the planet Jupiter, they were doing energy work on my body, and I could see them in my room, and they looked like that. In my mind's eye, they looked just like that. And they were, in fact, that's almost an identical carbon copy of what I experienced, because in my mind I've got this portal through my roof, and Jupiter is right there outside. It's important when you do this, if you can, to remember as many details as you can. Don't get bent out of shape, because these beings aren't human, so they don't communicate the way we do. I'm communicating with you with language and sound. That is the primary way that I get ideas across to you. They don't function that way. I'm sure they can speak languages and speak English if they chose to, but this isn't their most powerful mode of communication. I don't know if these beings know English. I don't know what they know and what they don't know. But when they first arrived, as my eyes were closed, there was this flash of a bunch of tiny yellow lights in the form of some ship. So I don't know if you can imagine that, but it just sort of flashed. And when that flashed, they came into the room. Then, everything else I've been explaining was going on. And after, I don't know how long it was, it could have been a half an hour, it could have been 5 minutes. Time kind of gets weird when you're in this space. There was a point where they had done energy, and I kind of was giving the idea that I wanted it to keep going. Looking back on it, I would have told myself, look, they've stopped, it's time to stop. But being who I am, I overdo things. I kind of said, let's keep going. And so they kept putting energy into me. And I could feel at the back of my neck, where my neck merges with the spinal column. It felt like somebody took like a laser and kind of was doing some surgery there, reconnecting some nerves perhaps. I definitely felt some energy going into my head. It was rather painful. It wasn't like excruciating, but it was a little bit, the energy was enough that it was painful. I could feel a lot of stuff going on in the head and the heart, of course. And then I started feeling myself getting tired. I couldn't keep the intention and the portal open, basically. I didn't feel like I had the energy, and so I took that as a sign that I was done. Now, it didn't feel as intense as some of the others. When these guys show up, when the guys like this show up, their energy, at least my experience of it, I'm happy to be wrong about it, but my experience of what feels like your typical grays, when they show up, the energy is very, very high vibrational and very electric, very light blue, just frenetically intense energy. Almost like, insect kind of energy. And they've put energy directly in my heart that has been just like, just powerful beams of energy just right into my heart, just wow, super intense. Those guys, when they're there, and they want you to know it, you know it. These beings were very subtle. They were very deep, and they weren't all that interested in that, although they do have a sense of humor. So I'll save that for the end. But after all of that energy had been put into me, and again, it was kind of like, I wonder if that really happened. That felt pretty good. I feel good right now, but I'm really kind of tired. I think I need to rest. So I wished them, I said, thank you, for coming. I think I need to relax now. I think I need to rest. And so I'm going to close the portal, basically is what I said. And then I got this feeling of, nice to see you, nice to meet you, goodbye. And then remember I said in the beginning, there was this, in my mind's eye, I saw this flash of a bunch of yellow lights in the shape, like pinhole lights in the shape of some kind of a large craft. And when I said, I'm done, then they said, okay, they retreated, and the ship went, and it flashed again. But what's interesting is it's not like a flash of a ship. It's a flash, and by the way, the color was yellow. Now that didn't mean anything to me at the time, but afterwards I realized, what is the color for Jupiter? Yellow. So they're Jupiterian beings. Perhaps these beings also use Vedic astrology. Perhaps Vedic astrology came from these beings. I don't know. But so far they have followed the ancient traditions. They mirror those ancient traditions, the pre-Christian ancient traditions of the world. They mirror them. So at the very least, they're aware of them, if not the inventors of them, the transmitters of them. You make up your decision about that. So, but when they said bye, it was interesting. There was a flash of a bunch of tiny yellow lights in the shape of a ship, and then they were gone. And then I took a nap. It took me a while to get comfortable because the energy was still going through me, and it was deep and intense and heavy. Heavy, not in the sense like there was a weight on my chest, just the energy was thick and heavy. And by the way, the name for Guru, for Jupiter is Guru. Guru means literally heavy. So it's like, that all goes together. It wasn't what I expected. I expected bolts of lightning. It wasn't anything like that at all. It was very reserved and very, I have a hard time putting words to it. Anyway, I took a nap. And then I woke up from the nap and I was really I couldn't stand. I was dizzy. I could stand, but I was dizzy, and I started feeling like, what the hell have I just done? Whatever doubts I had during the process, it was really clear that something major had just happened to me energetically. And I was walking around and I had this dull headache. All of my chakras and all of the nerves in my body, and it felt like I had been plugged into some kind of electrical device, and I had fried my circuits, and the worst was the headache, and I just didn't feel good. And I thought to myself, I've done it again. I'm such an idiot. I'm playing around with stuff. I have no idea what I'm doing. All those people are right when they're saying, be careful, you don't know who these beings are. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm thinking, I'm just trying to heal myself, and here I go, and I make myself worse. And I'm thinking that I've made things worse for myself. And so for the next couple of hours, I was really regretting it because I didn't feel good, and I had this headache, and I had clients I had to deal with. And so I was working with the clients. First client I went through, and I had this headache the whole time and not feeling good and wondering, why have I done this to myself? And then probably 2.5, 3 hours after I came out of the nap, as I was talking with a client, all of a sudden I felt this incredibly peaceful yet powerful energy just start emanating and flowing through me. And it was different from some of the other energies I felt. The electric blue energy I felt definitely felt like Kundalini, and had its own issues. Being drunk on Kundalini for a week, on end is, it gets old after a while, and you want to get back into your physical body. This was definitely Thor. This was definitely my experience of Qigong. This was like massive Qigong energy, that all of a sudden I was filled with this power, and I could feel my aura just surrounding me and expanding. And I felt this, not bliss, but peaceful, beautiful, blissful energy that was definitely Thor. It was definitely the power of electromagnetic energy, and I felt grounded. It really did what I was looking for. And I felt I was high on that energy for the rest of the night. And then finally, it was time to go to bed, and then I was like really tired, and I went to bed, and I woke up this morning, and I was like, and I could now feel what I went through yesterday was, wow, I'm still recovering from it. What I've learned now is I don't overthink it. If I try and figure it out, I end up in, my brain breaking. So I'm not going to figure it out. But I'm here to tell you that the universe is not what we've thought it was. This universe is filled with people, and our solar system is a destination. People from all over the universe come. And one of the things that happened, which again, I have to process all this afterwards and try and make sense of it. But one of the things that happened during this was when I was there with Jupiter, and I was there with other beings, and the energy work was going on, and I think towards the end I said, can you show me who you are? Can you show me what you look like? Again, I'm not having a 3D vision where I see everything clearly like a lucid dream. I'm barely trying to come up with images in my imagination, because I'm fully awake. I'm just in a slightly meditative state. And I did start to see some faces and some like busts of people coming by my vision. And they were all different species. There were very insectoid looking, what we would consider, the typical kinds of alien things. And then there were very human. In fact, one guy had a full beard. He had long hair and a beard, and he looked just like a human. Might have been human for all I know. I have no idea. I don't know if he was an ascended master, a spirit that hangs out around Jupiter. But that's, the experience I have when they're in the trans-dimensional state. They're not just physical beings. They're spirit beings. And so the boundary between spirit and physical gets very blurry. So I don't know who these beings were. I know for a fact that some of them came in a craft and trans-dimensionally, came into my room to do energy work on me. But when I asked, can you show me who you are? There was all these different beings, different species, clearly from different parts of the universe. And maybe they were all on that ship as I'm sitting here thinking about it. Maybe the ship is a bunch of priests and shamans from multiple places say, let's go to that Jupiter planet. That's a really powerful place. And they hang out there and they meditate and they do energy work and they interact with Thor, the god of the planet Jupiter, or Indra, or, whatever, Jupiter himself, Zeus. They interact with this being who is a planet and is incredibly powerful. So I didn't get the sense that these beings had known me. I got the sense this was a new experience. I could be wrong. They were just meeting me. But as I said, they do have a sense of humor. So I'm saving this for the last because it was so incongruous. At the time, I was in a meditative state, so I didn't even react to it. I mean, mentally, a piece of me reacted to it, but I was so focused on getting healed and the energy that I didn't pay attention to it. But I was very relaxed, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but it's it's part of the funny story. And I had to pass gas, so I farted. I just let it happen. And I said mentally beforehand, I said, sorry about this. And immediately after that, there was an explosion. It sounded like somebody set off a dynamite, stick of dynamite. It was an actual explosion. I don't know what it was, but it sounded like it was about a quarter mile away, and there was two of them. And it was just too coincidental that right after I fart, there's, giant explosions. I don't know if those were real. I don't know if they gave me some, but it sounded pretty real. I'm pretty sure that there was an actual explosion sound. Whether they created that out of thin air, I don't know. But I definitely got the feeling that they had a sense of humor about it. Of course, I didn't take it personally. I was too involved in the energy work. And I could be wrong about it, but I've come to find out, and I've learned from other people, that these beings have an incredible sense of humor. And they're very intelligent. But they deal with us as delicately as we need. I need to be dealt with delicately because I can guarantee you, if whatever these beings look like in the physical form, if they were to beam into my room and physically 3D be there, I'd flip out. I'd probably die from, shock and fright. I'm not at that place yet where I can handle that. I'm starting to be able to handle seeing ships with my actual eyes. They love coming to the live streams, by the way. I've found out that when I'm doing live streams, I can feel them there in my energy. They're part of the interaction. And many times after a live stream, I will go outside and look up. And a couple of times now, I've seen crafts go whizzing by. For the average person, they might mistake them for a shooting star. But I know the difference between a shooting star and a craft going at 1,000 miles per second, and so they've been giving me I feel kind of like Pavlov's dog, because when I do something they like, they'll let me know. There will be either a physical feeling of energy will come through me, like they're giving me the thumbs up. Or afterwards I'll go out, and if they've liked either the meditation I've done or something that's happened on a live stream, I'll go out. Sure enough, a ship will fly right over my head saying hello. And they'll tell me where to look. And I'll get this, look above and to the left. And there was one day where I'm pretty sure one was physically there and just briefly flashed, an outline of a being. But it was so subtle and it was so fast, I could have talked myself out of it. And when I saw it, I went, all right, that's it. I'm going inside. We're done for the night. And I said, I'll deal with what I just saw later. But right now I'm going to go watch some TV and get ready for bed. So I am still committed to this process. By the way, I'm feeling much better today. I've still got some soreness and some weakness, but I went into the garage here the house I'm renting, and there's a 20-pound barbell. And I first tested it with my left hand, and I said, okay, yep, I can lift that. And I grabbed it, and guess what? I lifted it over my head 5 times. I could have done more, but I knew if I did, I would have stressed out the muscle even more. But it means that I'm getting I'm going to be back to normal. I didn't do any permanent damage. It means also symbolically that my left brain is starting to integrate the understanding. It means I'm coming through this shamanic initiation experience. I'm going to be okay. I was really worried for a while. I really thought that I'd done myself, permanent neurological damage, but I'm going to be okay. Anyway, that's it, my friends. So take from it what you will. I definitely haven't mastered this, but here's what I have found out. Without a doubt, this universe is filled, infinite numbers of beings. And these beings understand reality completely opposite from our human scientific understanding. They understand the universe as being a place of consciousness, and they have evolved. Evolution means becoming sorcerers, magicians, shamans. The average alien on many planets, from the moment they're born, they are multi-dimensional master shamans and wizards. This is our natural state, and we are evolving to simply become our natural state. We're moving out of the state of just being an animal to the state of a human being. The thunder agrees with me. I don't know if you heard it or not. So everything you felt as a kid, all of your imaginations about living in a magical universe where you can be anything you want and anything you imagine is true, and you can transport yourself to other planets and other dimensions, and you have invisible friends who can appear and disappear, and magic and beauty and elves and sprites and fairies, and all of that is real. In fact, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And where we are headed within my lifetime, where we are headed is we are going to move into a place where we will be learning to become conscious beings. Children, the first thing that they will be taught is how to meditate. When children go to school, going forward now, they're not going to be sitting in front of books and reading history and learning how to, okay, it's time to stop fantasizing. They are going to learn to meditate and transform themselves into beings of light. That is what is happening for human beings. And it's going to start happening within my lifetime. So that's it for me. I'll see you guys soon. I'm definitely going to take it easy today after what I went through yesterday. I'm going to let my body absorb this energy. I will keep you informed. If you want to kickstart your connection to the 5D, you can go and search out CE5 protocols on anywhere. It's easy to do. It's incredibly easy to do. And the only thing that prevents you from having direct access to the most powerful light beings, transdimensional beings, is simply by asking. If you ask, they will show up. Every single time I do it, they show up. And it always ends up blowing my mind and being more amazing than I could have imagined. Even if at the time I'm not quite sure what's going on, you know, it's this experience that unfolds and you become very, very convinced that what you've experienced was an actual physical thing. If you keep doing this, they'll start showing up in other ways. You'll start seeing crafts in the sky. They'll start manifesting in other very powerful ways in your life. And you can have it if you want it. They will also leave you alone. If you don't want it, they will leave you alone. So that's it for me. I could go on and on and on, but I won't. Thanks again, guys. I will see you all very soon. If I'm up to it tonight, I'll do a video. If not, I will see you soon. Take care.